Dr. Hovind, I love your doctoral thesis. I've torn it to pieces with house and gaffle. I can't remember when I last pissed myself laughing. It's a good thing the thesis mopped the piss off the floor.
Welcome to parts 15 of this read-through and peer review of Kent Hovind's doctoral dissertation, which was published on wikileaks.org on December 9th, 2009. If you have not yet seen the previous parts to this series, then I recommend that you go back and see those first, as I will be starting off in this episode exactly where I left off in the last. In the last episode, Kent told us all about Eastern religions. In this episode, he starts by telling us how Christians should teach Christianity to people influenced by evolution. Kent starts, "We are in the same situation today. In order to reach people that have been heavily influenced by evolution, we must first begin with the foundation, the creation." Yes, Kent, what a brilliant idea. Let's go to people with a scientific understanding, people who have read the evidence and understood the evidence and see how evolution really works and what it's about, and let's just tell them to push that all aside and believe in a Bronze Age myth thought up by people who lived in tents in the desert 4,000 years ago. Kent goes on, "We can't immediately quote John 3:16 because it sounds like a foreign language to them." No, Kent, I think you have it wrong there. To intelligent people, it just sounds like bullshit. It doesn't matter what language you say it in. Bullshit is bullshit, and bullshit stinks. But that aside, they have been so brainwashed away from God by evolutionary philosophy that we must begin with the basics. Yes, Kent, but in the face of overwhelming evidence, fact and observation, even the basics are dumb. We must slowly pry open their closed minds by getting them to answer the question, who is the Creator who made the world? And of course we also answer the question that is begged from that question, which is, why does the world have to have a Creator? Or even, what evidence do you have that the world was created? Anyhow, Kent doesn't answer those questions, so we'll move on. Almost immediately after the time of Christ, several groups developed around Christianity that claimed to be Christian. Yes, and it's not exactly as though that's changed now, has there? How many thousand denominations of Christianity do we have today? Some had pure motives, and some had impure motives. Those with impure motives desired to dilute and destroy the Christian teaching. And you can damn well bet that each one of those groups thought exactly the same about all the other groups. For example, one of the groups that developed was from Alexandria, Egypt. There was a school in Alexandria that had teachers that tried to reinstate Aristotle's philosophy into Christianity. We're going there, aren't we, Kent? We just know that we're going there. The good old bringing evolution into the classroom. That's where we're going now, isn't it? Come on, admit it. Saint Clement, who lived from approximately 150 to 215 AD, taught in this Alexandrian school. He started one of the early compromises that tried to bring the almighty God of the Bible down to the pantheist God of nature. Well, Kent, it didn't stop them making him a saint now, did it, Kent? You see, the God of creation is above and outside of the creation, whereas the God of pantheism is in the creation and is limited by the creation. Now, Kent, this is where we see your lack of imagination, because the good theologian would point out that, okay, God may be inside his creation, but that does not limit him, because all God has to do is make his creation limitless. Of course, this gets over the age-old problem of anything being outside reality, not being real. These ancient philosophers realize this. Unfortunately, it appears that you don't. Kent goes on. Instead of him being over the universe, he is like a major cog in the machinery, but not the man running the machinery. Clement had a very clear intention of making God a pantheist God. Evolution is just part of a long war against God. Actually, Kent, I think you'll find that it's more a case of your kooky, spooky dogma being pushed to one side as society, as man, discovers new things that dismiss your kooky, spooky dogma. It's not so much a war against God, it's a war against stupidity and dogma. And I think you'll find that common sense always prevails. But Kent gives us more. The main idea is to bring God down off his throne. Satan has always wanted to do that, and he hasn't given up yet. The next paragraph. Many in the Alexandrian school were of this philosophy. They actually recopied parts of the Bible to be more in line with their beliefs, and made what are known today as the Alexandrian manuscripts. Oh, golly gosh, you don't say, Kent. Somebody actually edited the Bible? Is that what you're saying? Anyhow, these have been discredited and rejected by most Bible-believing Christians because there are differences in these manuscripts and the other manuscripts of the Bible. Many of the Alexandrian manuscripts are older than the manuscripts used by the Bible-believing Christians. Yet older does not mean better. No, you're probably right there, Kent, but being that they were written closer to the actual events they document, and because they were older, they're probably less likely to be as embellished as the later ones. They were probably more accurate, which is probably why most Bible-believing Christians don't like them. It would only make sense that if a manuscript were accepted as authentic by the believers, that it would be used over and over until it was worn out. Then a new copy would be made. It would be checked extensively by the priests to verify that all had been copied correctly. They would even count the number of letters to verify that all was correct. Then the old copy would be destroyed. This process was repeated many times as manuscripts became unusable. Those manuscripts that were not accepted would not be used, and therefore would last longer. The Alexandrian manuscripts are the source of many of the modern-day translations. Instead of going to the original manuscripts, the modern translators have been using the Alexandrian. This results in a perverting and watering down of the scriptures. Does it not occur to you, Kent, that the Alexandrian manuscripts may actually be more accurate than the more modern manuscripts which have been copied and copied and copied and contain numerous embellishments?